we have Itay from Yotpo. Itay is the partnership director at Yotpo, and he's going to be talking about the massive change in the privacy landscape looming in the e-commerce brands that need to create valuable shopper experiences that customers want to opt in, and loyalty programs are a big key. So yeah, it's about this apocalypse or cookie-pocalypse, as he says in the title of his talk. So yeah, over to you, Itay. Welcome, and thank you for being part of Meet Magento.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great introduction, Yannick. Thank you, JH, for hosting this amazing event. And hi, everyone. Super excited to have you join us today as we talk about one of the most pressing issues in e-commerce industry, the impending cookie-less era, which I'm sure you're all aware of. So in this session, what we're going to cover is why brands need loyalty to prepare for the cookie-pocalypse, which is a mouthful title. We'll be focusing on loyalty programs and how they help businesses gain access to valuable customer data. We'll give some examples. So it doesn't matter if you have an existing program or you're looking to create one, loyalty is going to be a key to overcome the cookie-less era. Before that, just a quick introduction. As Yannick mentioned, my name is Itay Vladomirsky, Director of Partnerships at EMEA, working extremely close with the likes of JH on the one hand, on the other hand, with the likes of Magento or Adobe Commerce. Yotpo is a very proud Magento partner. We are actually a part of the VBE bundle, which means that we're kind of natively integrated within the Magento backend. So essentially, if you don't have Yotpo, you can flip the Yotpo switch from the Magento backend, and the integration is going to be extremely smooth and painless. If you don't know Yotpo, essentially Yotpo is an e-commerce marketing platform with the approach of integrated data-driven solution for reviews, visual user-generated content, loyalty, referrals, SMS marketing, and more, and basically letting brands create powerful experience to their customers and maximizing the ROI without having multiple endpoint solution of marketing. Okay, so let's maybe dive into the actual topic. As demand for greater internet privacy and data protection ramps up, the cookie-less era is impending, meaning that third-party data will become significantly less impactful. As I mentioned, I'm sure you're all aware, but while Google announced that the Chrome third-party cookies will phase out, will be delayed to 2023, that trend is joining the decision that already was made by Apple, Mozilla, Firefox, and obviously the EU taking the charge of GDPR, e-privacy directive. The EU really kind of set the precedent for a cookie-less era. Now the rest of the world is catching on, as we see. We all know that this is a massive change, and that's going to be super impactful. And this massive changes on the horizon are going to seriously impact how we can acquire clients. But we want to know how brands are actually preparing themselves for this kind of cookie crumbling period. So we ran a survey, excuse me. We decided to ask, Yotpo has about 20,000 merchants worldwide. We decided to run a survey among them out of all the direct-to-consumer brands that we have, and we wanted to see how they're preparing for this kind of cookie crumbling era and what's their strategies. We learned something super, super interesting, okay? 50% of the brands that we surveyed were unsure if they're prepared to advertise, in a cookie-less world, okay? So they don't know if they even have the tools to cope with the change. 53% are sure how to adjust their existing budget to compensate for digital marketing efforts and functionality, okay? So while brands know that they can no longer rely on third-party cookies, they also don't know how to replace that lost data. And that's really kind of the pain point that we see across different merchants today. Yeah, like one thing that I haven't mentioned, if you see any question kind of coming up, feel free to stop me. I know it's kind of virtual, it's very hard, but happy to kind of make it as interactive as possible. So guys, if you have questions, type it into the text box and
yeah, for sure. I'll definitely pull that up. 50% is quite a high number though, right? For people to not know what's going on. Right.
That's what I thought when I first kind of encountered that, brands employ multiple marketing teams, and if these guys don't know what they're doing with the marketing budget, who does? And I spoke with multiple founders. I can tell this is an actual problem. Let's talk a little bit about kind of more of the specific impact. So regardless if brands know how they're going to handle the cookieless era, it will definitely create the challenges for the current paid advertising practices. Okay, third-party cookies are the backbone of the paid advertising. They allow advertisers to track and target customers. Without them, here's some issues brands will face. And Yannick, with your permission, I would like to open up with a short story. My wife and I were traveling to, we did our honeymoon in the Philippines, and we wanted to kind of experience the local life. So I took a local fishing boat. I asked him to join. So we went to the open sea, went on the boat for about a mile, and then after a mile, we saw like a nice like a floating device that basically marked for the fishermen where they should invest their time and efforts to get the most out of the fishing trip. Okay, so it was a great time. Within 2 hours, the boat was full with like beautiful tuna. We had sashimi on the boat with some rum. Great experience. I couldn't kind of help with that, but thinking of this specific analogy, when thinking about kind of the cookieless era, if you would take from the fishermen the floater that basically marked where they should fish, that would make their life much harder to get with the hunt that's going to be suffice for them for food and basically their economy. So without third-party cookies, being the analogy of the floater, targeted ads accuracy can really go so far. Tracking is crucial to audience targeting. Advertisers will need to cast a wider net to reach their potential customers. Okay, so one thing very important to understand is raising customers' acquisition costs. That's definitely going to happen, and that's only going to kind of continue the trend that we see in the past 6 years or so. Okay, as paid ads becomes more and more inefficient, customer acquisition costs will only continue to rise. For example, if an ad efficiency dropped by 20%, then brands that don't change their approach could spend up to 20% more just to hit their previous target. Plus, there's no guarantee whatsoever that increasing the ad spend will be a better result. The second thing definitely kind of worth mentioning is the unpredictable path to purchase. So without third-party cookies, tracking from top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel will only become more difficult. Buyers' journeys, as it is, are only super complex and non-linear. So if you add on top of it, and definitely kind of the renaissance of retail shopping that in the post-COVID world, we see that it's going to become more and more challenging. Okay, and we can see a nice quote from McKinsey just talking about how impactful is the kind of the loss of the cookie asset.
Yeah, no, that seems pretty provoking, right? In the sense that I think everyone throws quite a lot of investment into ads, but they've got to start looking beyond that, right? And saying, well, what does the landscape look like beyond just money? And I guess this is where the next part of your talk throws a lot into the loyalty side of things, and
exactly
how that calculates a bigger audience. So yeah, no,
absolutely.
Over to you.
So with that that's a good kind of transition. We do definitely believe that loyalty is the key to combating the cookieless era. Without third-party data, first and zero-party data, meaning data that the customers are voluntarily giving to the brand, are the way to reach customers effectively. Okay, but customers won't offer this information without getting something in return. Unlike just like anything else in life, nothing is free. For me as a consumer, I'm willing to give you my data, but the question is, what do I want in return to it? And we believe that kind of the answer resides in a loyalty program. So let's talk about, what does loyalty offer customers? Okay, customers have high expectation of brands these days, and they need to feel like they're getting something for their repeat business. And Yannick, I gave one story about my wife already. I'm going to give you another story about myself and my wife. So during the first lockdown, we had our own small routines just to keep sane, right? One of them was, you can imagine, was around food and takeaway. So as two massive sushi eaters, we would order twice a month a platter of sushi. Same order, same person, picking up the phone, taking up order, writing everything down. So the same routine. It's a very small sushi place next to my house, but nothing in return. So it took me 6 times before I kind of, took the courage and told him, listen, dude, I'm a loyal customer. Not once did I get something from you, and it doesn't make me feel too special. True story, it actually happened. He said, you know what, you're absolutely right. I've been thinking about kind of punch cards for a very long time. You're pushing me to it, and now that person has a punch card mechanism to keep clients happier. Okay, loyalty creates those kind of high value experiences and keep customers coming back. And to our point, it doesn't have to be like a punch card for a free. It also can be a great way to get clients sharing their personal data. Okay, so what do shoppers want from the loyalty program? We know it for a very long time. Enhanced and personalized experience is extremely important for your community. When a loyalty member logs into your website, they immediately receive tailored experience, product recommendation, past purchase data, VIP status updates, and so on. By essentially self-identifying and logging into the website, customers get better shopping experience than a non-loyal member, and that will only get enhanced post the kind of the cookie-less era. Loyalty programs can also be the way to leverage data collection tools. Yannick, I'm assuming that if I'm going to ask you some very personal questions, maybe you'll kind of fight back. But if I'm going to give you in return like a 10-pound voucher, maybe you'll be willing to answer kind of what are your preferences. Your more sensitive information that otherwise would be kind of hitting for me.
Yeah, I also feel that sometimes when you're part of a loyalty program, you kind of get that essence of their care, right? And they're looking at my information and kind of allowing to channel my shopping experience very unique to my journey. And I think as that becomes such a bigger thing going forward, it helps me narrow my search in terms of like, well, I bought a pair of trainers, what do you think is going to work with that? And it creates such a I guess if you use your sushi analysis, it's well, have you tried this? Have you tried this version? Have you tried the teriyaki version? So you are then feeling, well, actually, I regularly order the same sushi all the time. Let me try and order something that's a bit more different, but it's guided in my palate or my taste.
Yeah. So Yannick, remember that when we'll talk about the Moroccan oil case study, because Moroccan oil did exactly that. Okay, so that's actually a really good segue to like 5 slides into the future. But I'm telling you, they did something super unique. So as I mentioned, being a part of a loyalty program will basically entice me to answer things like online quizzes, email forms, and more. By offering points in exchange for data, customers are more likely to do so. One last thing that I'm going to talk about is kind of SMS as and Europe, guys, I know that we have merchants from like worldwide, US merchants, APAC merchants, EU merchants. It's very interesting to see how SMS plays a different role as a marketing automation channel in different regions. In the US, for example, it's a very legitimate marketing automation tool. In Europe, it's becoming one. In Australia, it's kind of big as well. But SMS is another great way to keep in touch with your most loyal customers. We actually see that some segment of your community will prefer to communicate with you as a brand with SMS instead of an email. Okay, so it's not the same audience. It could be a completely different audience. And when you combine loyalty and SMS together, SMS provides a very useful way to communicate personalized product recommendation, tailored experiences, and so on. Last thing that kind of I wanted to touch about is kind of access to high value reward like discounts, VIP memberships, which increasingly kind of attracting perks as high as you go on the loyalty program. So in exchange exchanging points for discounts is a popular tactic that we all know, but it's not the only strategy brands can use. Customers may also want to use other perks or offer other perks like exclusive access to new product lines, free samples, as I mentioned in the Moroccan oil, we'll talk about this, or VIP invites to brand events if and when that's going to kind of come back to us into the future. So the key is to reward for engagement and make your loyalty program emotional, not just transactional. That's something very important that I would like to convey to the audience. If you're implementing a loyalty solution, whatever that is, choose Yotpo, build your own, it doesn't really matter. Make sure that it's not only transactional. Make sure that there's like emotion around it, engagement. As we mentioned, the client journey is not kind of linear anymore. Like let's try to be wherever we can. And I think that's kind of the most I wanted to take from this slide. let's talk about something else interesting, right? What does loyalty offer brands? Okay, so we spoke about what loyalty program offer to the community. What does it offer brands? So by offering these experiences, brands can create an effective solution to the crumbling cookie problem that we spoke about. So getting first-party data based on customer engagement on your site and app, when they sign into your website, that's much more likely for them to sign up if they have kind of any loyalty program. You can follow clicks, time spent on page, purchase behavior, and whatnot, things that will become a bit more tricky post kind of the cookie era, and zero-party data as we discussed. Based on information shoppers intentionally provide and share meaningful personal information like product preferences, customer intention, background information, more will be super valuable for the actual brand. Something also super important to take into consideration is people want incentive for customers to self-identify each time they use your website, okay? So every website can, it's very easy to have a login to your website, but it's hard to make people, go down that route versus checking out as a guest. We want them to identify themselves so we can, build more on top of the segment that we already have. Something very important to note, customers want to share their data with brands that they love, okay? From a survey done by Cheetah Digital, over 89% of shoppers are willing to share data with brands if that means that they could get personalized product recommendation, discounts, or service, okay? But, and it's a big but, they need to get the right incentive to provide it. Okay, so let's talk about what customers want in exchange for their data. And again, maybe some of those stats are not going to be as a shocker to you, but some are definitely interesting. So ensure loyalty program success by asking shoppers what they want to see from their program. It's very important. You can always tweak your loyalty program. You can always add another action to gain points. So being close to your community, and there's loads of brands that do it very well. If it's Gymshark or if it's Kali Cosmetic, that really kind of engage their community and then building their brand by their community. Ask your community what types of stuff they would like to see in their loyalty program, okay? But something that you're not going to be surprised is discounts are super popular choice, but it's not the only thing that customers want, okay? Experiences are equally as valuable. Concierge, personalized service is also very, very important. Personalized product recommendation, wish list capabilities, and product notification. Again, going back to kind of SMS and how you can let people know that specific product are now available. Also very important. These things will give you kind of the ability to get kind of those valuable data points. Okay.
Yeah, Itay, on that one, just to interject, we're obviously seeing this thing about different generations and the way they shop, right? There must be, you're seeing a lot of things around being eco-friendly and sustainable products. Patagonia, as we saw in our keynote, was very similar, where they mentioned, people are invested in buying into that. And I guess that kind of creates some loyalty because they get affinity to that proposition. Are you finding that at the moment where your loyalty is around these positive,
yes, absolutely. So first of all, Patagonia is a Yotpo client. A very we actually give our go-to-market team some Patagonia swag when they have good cues. We love the brand. We love what it represents. We love how they're engaging with it. Speaking of brands that work very closely with the community, we love what they do. So we're very proud to work with them. And to the question of generations, we definitely see something. People like to trash us millennials, right? We like to trash the Generation Z. They're not loyal. They're like bums. They're not. We actually ran a survey at the peak of COVID, okay? And we actually saw the Generation Z are much more. I think the number was about 30% more likely to become loyal to more brands. Okay, so that means they're willing to spend more money out of their pocket on the same product if that product is associated with their favorite brand. Okay, and that's something very unique. Generation Z is, we need to give them more credit. They're very smart consumers. They know exactly who they're buying from, like you mentioned, what are the values of the brand that they're buying from, and having like a loyalty program that perks, for example, we all know kind of the buy one, give one to like someone from like a poor village. Maybe it's the poor village in the Philippines where I took a fishing boat, right? Maybe it's like finding kind of that cause that people relate to. You can really build your loyalty program on top of that. donate to a specific charity, get loyalty points in return. You can be as flexible and as creative as you want with your loyalty program. And I think it's even more important with the Generation Z that is more willing to be more loyal to more brands, up to 6 to 7 brands on average, by the way. We need to make sure that the loyalty program that we build is right for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting how you've mentioned that, is because it seems like it not just creates the loyalty side, it creates the engagement, right? So now let's just say you go to the next channel of that that user journey or that experience, whereby someone is donating money elsewhere. They follow that, and it becomes something that they really feel part of. And having a loyalty was a part that allowed a lot more to happen. And I guess that's the engagement is the point, and the empathy and the connection, which is quite nice. So interesting. Yeah.
If I'm Virgin, I'm only kind of giving you points for miles. It's very limiting to me. But if I'm Gymshark and I'm giving some, or Mark and all, I'm giving points for donations, reading blog posts, being a part of kind of an email marketing a part of the community, then I'll be much more engaged. I'll upload more images to Instagram. Those things are very easily trackable and kind of rewardable. So let's talk about maybe kind of how brands did it in a really good way. So I want to talk about, I spoke about Moroccan oil, kind of I alluded to this case study. Again, another brand, a Magento brand, of course, that we are very, very proud to work with. So for those of you that you don't know, Moroccan oil is kind of a fan favorite hair care brand that started with its iconic oil treatment before expanding to full line of hair and body products. So like many other, and I'm sure that some of the brands are on this forum are kind of cosmetics, or health or beauty vertical. So I'm sure that you'll resonate with those pain points. So Moroccan oil had a few main pain points. 1, low average order value and basket size. 2, small share of wallet. So customers find 1 or 2 products that they love and stick with them. And the 3rd is difficulty getting customers to adopt new product lines, which is very similar to number 2. Beauty products are often, they need a demonstration. So if they, it can be hard to get shoppers to try new products if they never used them before. So what did Moroccan oil do? So using loyalty, Moroccan oil pushed incremental habits through free product samples, oftentimes from a more expensive product line. So if I bought a face cream, maybe I'll get like a very special hand cream that comes from a more luxury category. And setting loyalty goals, spend targets to get to the next tier in exchange for more perks. So Yannick, I can tell you, listen, you just spent 25 pounds, spend 30 pounds, and you will become a VIP tier client that will have access to this amount, you'll get Y amount of discounts and so on. That's definitely going to push you to get, to buy more and to increase your basket. So what we've seen, and guys, we're not talking about like a Joe Schmo brand. This is Moroccan oil. We're talking about global brand. They actually saw 113% higher lifetime value from customers, and 51% of their revenue came from loyalty members. So here's a good exercise for you as merchants. After this session, maybe you know this figure already. Try to ask yourself how much of our kind of monthly or yearly revenue comes from recurring clients, comes from loyalty clients. Do this exercise. If you're happy with, if it's 100%, amazing. I doubt it, but amazing. If it's 0%, very worrying. Okay, so it's obviously going to be a spectrum between those 2 numbers. Think about how much are you spending on your acquisition versus how less expensive it is to just retain and get more from your existing loyal clients, and then the loyalty kind of program concept will make much more sense. So definitely go back home and kind of do this as a homework. Maybe another kind of case study just to talk about from a similar world. So if you don't know Dr. Dennis Gross, so it's award-winning skincare brand, obviously another Magento client, created by dermatologist Dr. Dennis Gross. Very well known for their kind of at-home peels. The brand is sold. The brand is selling in retailers like Sephora, but it has a dedicated direct-to-consumer customer base as well. Okay, so their loyalty program, as we can see, is a VIP rewards. So the program is centered around customer data collection and increasing average order value. Okay, by incentivizing their peel quiz with loyalty points, the brand was able to collect valuable customer data like skin type, skin concerns, experience with skin products, and offer personalized product recommendations to loyalty members. So as I mentioned, like you don't have to reward for like purchases only. Data is power. Data is actually revenue. Okay, if you can take this kind of zero party data and build segments and market and communicate with your community in a much more personalized way, that's going to translate into more money. So here's a great point of how you can kind of reward your community without having them buy anything or spend anything, just like open up their heart and their personalization preferences to your own game. Okay, so
I think like in this day and age that we have so much data, right? It's one where, using systems like yours to help you analyze and segment and work out loyalty is pretty key, right? I think sometimes everyone's put in all the tracking, all the data, and then no one really acts upon it, and I guess that's where the problem also lies.
Absolutely. So yeah, wanting to solve it is a good thing. Actually, acting on it. And by the way, like we don't expect our brands to go to Yotpo to have all the answers. Okay, making a loyalty commitment and the budget commitment is a good first step. Now to kind of strategize around it and to implement that, we don't think that brands can do it on their own. So that's why Yotpo comes with like dedicated loyalty specialists and strategists that will help you build kick off the loyalty program. We love to work with agencies such as yourself that have kind of deep knowledge on the client problems and aspirations and goals. So having kind of the agency as a champion to the loyalty program and the loyalty strategy is key. And then also having them implement it and optimizing because as we mentioned, just because you kicked off a loyalty program doesn't mean that you can optimize it, right?
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you one more question?
Please, absolutely.
So sometimes we often get asked questions, well, how do we have an online loyalty program versus an in-store loyalty program? We slowly finding that we're merging those two quite nicely and they're becoming one system. Is there anything that you can share on your knowledge around offline and online loyalty that works well?
Yeah, first of all, absolutely. I think having two separate loyalty programs is a mistake. Yotpo actually supports and drive. We have integration with point of sales. We have QR kind of read solution for to accommodate and to bridge the online and offline world. But I think if you're a consumer, you don't care if you're buying online and offline, right? That's like the biggest cliche on omnichannel, right? Exactly. Clients don't care where you buy. They want you to know who they are. Like with the sushi example, I can order on the phone and get to the store. I'm Itay. I want my free stuff when I'm eligible. So connecting the two is extremely important, and there's ways to do it. We're not going to go into the technicalities, but from like point of sales integrations to actually having QR codes to redeem in store. It's a must. Whatever you do not have two separate programs for online and offline. That's not something that you want to kind of send out.
I'm glad that comes from you, and hopefully our audience take that away as a good takeaway.
Absolutely. I think we have time for maybe one more case study, or maybe should we open up to questions? Yannick, what do you think?
Yeah. How many more slides do you have?
I have one more case study, and then that's pretty much it.
Why don't you go through that case study, I think, and then
okay, so that sounds good. Yeah. The last case study, again, I don't want to take just like a cosmetics brand, is Baked by Melissa as a New York City-based bakery, very known for their signature bite-sized cupcakes. So the founder actually started from like cooking in her small New York apartment at the age of 24, and hand-delivered every order on the subway. Wow. And all the way there, she now built like a multi-million-dollar mini cupcake empire with 14 retail locations and booming e-commerce presence. They're using a lot of our products, and personally, I'm a big fan of their product. Because Baked by Melissa is an event-based business, right? Birthdays, anniversary, graduations, they were often faced with unpredictable buying cycles. And I'm sure that a lot of merchants can kind of resonate with that, right? Seasonality is a big pain point for a lot of merchants. And the loyalty member isn't necessarily the one receiving the gift, right? Because oftentimes cupcakes can be a gift for someone else. So the program is actually designed around customer delight and indulgence. So gift giving is rewarded, right? If I'm giving you something, I'm not consuming it, I'm still the client. So high point earning themselves get free cupcakes. Brand leverage non-transactional holiday through the program, like Employee Appreciation Day, awarded points accordingly. This helped create a more kind of steady selling cycle rather than like one that peaked around certain times over the year. The result of it, Baked by Melissa saw about 110% increase in customer purchase year over year. Okay, so making sure that you know how to, you know your kind of sales cycles, and you know where you need to reward and when people will come on their own. So just incentivize those kind of weaknesses.
Good.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's been really good, Itay. I think it's given us a lot of food for thought. I hope the audience have enjoyed that. Yeah, no, thank you very much on all of that. I think questions wise, we're kind of running out of time now.
Yeah, no worries at all.
So, but I think you covered it well in those case studies. I'm a key fan of case studies. You always, get to learn a lot from merchants and integrators. So that's really good. Yeah, no, thank you very much, and I hope you.
Thank you, Yannick, and thank you, JH, for this great event. This was lovely.
Okay, good stuff. If anyone has any questions for Itay, please feel free to direct message him on the Hopkins.
And my email is also at the end of this slide. Feel free to email me for whatever you have in mind.
Yeah, or drop him an email, and that will be great. I see Betty from our team has had some good insights. So, thank you very much from all of us.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Care. Cheers. Okay.
Bye-bye.